What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Tundra Baller. This is another exciting episode. Today, we're going to be talking about Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals, and then we'll talk about Game 1 of the NBA Finals. So this is a pretty exciting episode. If this is your first time here, my name is Mario Duenas, aka Tundra Baller. I am a huge Clipper fan. You can see Intuit Dome right behind me here, but it's a virtual background, obviously. But I am a super fan of the LA Clippers, and if you guys have been listening to me all year long in this season, I have been talking about the Clippers a lot and a lot of game recaps. And recently, I posted all my previous episodes on YouTube, but I was on Titan Radio throughout the whole school year. I'm at Cal State Fullerton right now. I just finished my second year about 2 weeks ago. So let's get things started. We are going to be talking about Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals first, since we weren't able to cover that last week. So, so it was a pretty good game, OKC and the Spurs, both teams were going at it, and they were up 3-2, OKC after game five, that controversial like back-to-back missed calls that really messed up the Spurs a little bit. But besides that, they didn't really execute that much in game five to really take the win in game five and really take advantage of a two into tie and make it 3-2, but they're down 3-2 instead. So in game seven, they were up by 10, like right at the start. At about 5.5 minutes in, they were up 18-8, and then they brought it up to 14 about a minute and a half later. So in the second quarter, OKC was slowly coming back, and then they tied it with 2:17 left with a Lou Dort three-pointer. Yeah, it was a tie game at 49-49, and they even took the lead a little bit. They scored four straight points from from Williams and two free throws from Chet Holmgren. But then OKC, they lost the lead, and then they were down three at the end of the first half. And it was a Wemby bank shot to make it a 3-point lead at halftime. So in the second half, they even took the lead a few minutes in, about almost 3 minutes in. Alex Caruso, he hit a three to take the lead, and they were down by, or they were up by up to three at the time. After Alex Caruso hit that 3-pointer to take the lead, up by one. Then Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he had two free throws. Of course, he had two free throws. And then Julian Champagnie, like he did throughout the whole season, he knocks down a three and he tied the game. And that was the last time that they saw the lead. So after that tie, or yeah, when they tied the game, they went on a 13-2 run. Wembanyama, he hit three and brought the lead up to 11. And in the fourth quarter, they were just never able to get that momentum again, OKC. And they were down by 12 at the most in the fourth quarter, but they did bring it down to six. But they did miss some shots, but it was no good, and they lost. So the defending champions, they lost in the Western Conference Finals in 7 games to OKC. And we're going to be talking about the final box score a little bit. So for the Spurs, Julian Champagnie, he knocked down 6 threes out of 10 shots. He finished the game with 20 points. He was 6 for 11 from the field overall and made 2 of 3 three-pointers, or free throws, I'm sorry. And Victor Wembanyama, he had 22 points on 7 for 15 shooting. Like Mitch Johnson, like before the game, he said that, Wemby, he really has to have like a really big game and score about 20 plus or so. And, that's what he did. And, and there was this big play. Wemby, he had 5 fouls in the fourth quarter. Wemby had 5 fouls in the fourth quarter, and he was on the bench for a little bit. And his sub, Luke Cornett, the other big, he got this big block after Isaiah Hartenstein stole the ball and he ran it down the court. It looked like he was going to get a dunk, right? But Luke Cornett, he had a chase down block, and now everybody is saying blocked by Cornett now, like that. that iconic block from LeBron in the NBA Finals back in 2017, saying blocked by James, or that meme from that Anthony Davis commercial, blocked by Anthony or rejected by Anthony Davis, that everybody's going to be saying blocked by Cornette. So that was a really big block, and everybody was talking about it too. And yeah, those are just really big. So Luke Cornett, he only played 6 minutes in this game, but that one block that he had in the game, it probably changed the whole momentum to the game. So, like I'm gonna say his whole stats here in 6 minutes, 0 for 3 from the field, and he had 2 points, he made two free throws, and he had 7 rebounds though. Or no, he had 4 rebounds in 6 minutes. And yeah, so with that little impact he had, the stats might not show, but that one big block, it really changed the whole game. And then off the bench, we had Keldon Johnson with 11 points, Dylan Harper with 12, Stephon Castle with 16, De'Aaron Fox with 15, Dan Vassell with 11. Then we'll talk about OKC for the stats here. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in 42 minutes, he shot 9 of 11 free throws, so which was more than game 6. And he had finished with 35 points, which was a game high, 12 for 21 from the field. Second most was Cason Wallace, 6 for 10 from the field, and he made 5 of 9 threes. He had 17 points. But probably the one that stands out the most is Chet Holmgren. He only had 2 field goals. So a lot of people, they're really hating on him, saying, you know, it could be something like James Harden, not showing up in the playoffs. But Chet Holmgren, but he had 4 points and only shot twice. Or technically, he did shoot more. He shot 4 free throws out of, yeah, he shot 4 free throws and made 2 of them. So he only made one shot and he made 2 free throws. So technically, he shot it more than twice. So probably about 4 times because he got fouled twice and he went to the line twice. So technically, he shot the ball 4 times. But in the stats, if you get fouled and you miss it, the field goal does not count. It only counts if you make it. So technically, he shot 4 times. He was 1 for 4 technically. And then off the bench, we have Alex Caruso with 12 points, Jared McCain with 12. Alex Caruso, he was 3 for 14. And yeah, it was a really good game. And I did want the Spurs to win. Just like a lot of other people, I didn't want to see OKC win, you know, but it was a really good game. And I was watching the second half, so it was a really good game. Okay, now we're going to be going into the NBA Finals. So this was a really good game. I watched the whole thing, and it was really a great game from start to finish. So to start off the game, Jalen Brunson, he hit a three, first play of the game. And then OG, he hits a three the next play, and they were up 10-4 in the first 3 minutes. This was a really fast-paced game, though. And credit to the refs. You know, they were just letting the guys play, and of course, call a foul if there was a lot of contact. But there were no foul calls in the first 5 minutes, but then in the next 2.5 minutes or so, there were 6 fouls called. So, I get it. Like there would be no foul calls sometimes, but in those 5 minutes where there were no foul calls, they were just without playing good defense without fouling. That's how it should be. You should play defense without fouling, and yeah, that would be really good for the team. Especially, but there were 2 guys that did get in foul trouble, and yeah, and then when Dylan Harper came into the game off the bench, he scored 8 straight points for Spurs. And the Spurs, they went on a 20-3 run to take a 10-point lead, 17-27. And the Knicks, they made 2 of their first threes in the game, but they only made one of their next 9. So they were 3 for 11, and only made 2, or they made 2 of the first 2 shots. And Jalen Brunson, he was hurt for a little bit. So Landry Shamet, he fouled Harrison Barnes. Harrison Barnes fell backwards like that. And but when he was going back, he his knee or Jalen Brunson's knee was hit by Harrison Barnes while he was falling backwards. So that could have been really, really bad. He was limping and trying to tell tell his team like, hey, don't take me out. Don't take me out. I'm good. But a little bit, about a minute later, he went to the locker room. But eventually he did come back. He came back around the middle of the second quarter. And that happened around the end of the first quarter. So he wasn't out for so long. So there was this hard foul. Wembanyama hit Karl Anthony Towns really hard, and he fell on his back. He was laying down for a little bit, but they reviewed it to see if it was a flagrant. But it turns out that it was a common foul, so nothing bad to that. And Jalen Brunson, he almost got hurt again. So he scored a layup over Luke Cornett. Cornett didn't get the block this time, like on Isaiah Hartenstein in the Western Conference Finals. No block by Cornett this time. So when he landed, Cornett's foot landed on Brunson's foot. And he kind of turned his ankle and made it turn his ankle for a little bit. But he was really mad that there was no foul. In my opinion, I don't think it was a foul. But yeah, it wasn't a foul. No, it wasn't. And and then it was halftime. The Spurs were up by 7. Julian Champagny hit 3 at the end of the first half. So they were up at halftime, 55-48 the Spurs. And in the second, the Spurs, they kind of kept that momentum a little bit. And they were up by 14. They doubled that momentum, or they doubled that lead from 7 to 14. But then the Knicks, they were just like, okay, it's time to lock in. Let's go. So they tied the game at the end of the third quarter. Miles McBride, he shot a three-pointer from the corner and somehow a bank corner three. That is very, very rare. He definitely called bank. I heard him say it. So, and then they kept that momentum again, the Knicks. So to start off the second half, they had that momentum, the Spurs, and in the Knicks, they just turned it around and and they were just like against the Cavaliers in game one, they came back from a double digit lead and then they came back in the same quarter. So in the third quarter, they were down 14 and then they tied it at the end of the quarter. So it's kind of like that 22-point lead or that 22-point deficit that they had against the Cavaliers in the fourth quarter in game one of the Eastern Conference Finals. And yeah, so the first 3 minutes of the fourth quarter, after Landry Shamet hit a shot, OG Anunoby, he scored 8 straight points. So, and then Jalen Brunson, he scored 6 straight points to take a 6-point lead. And then, like everybody saw, a fan ran onto the court. He wanted to take a selfie with Wemby, so he was like this. So he was like this, and then he tried to take a selfie with Wemby. But the day after, the video was released by that guy, or who is apparently the guy, and didn't even get Wemby's head. He just pretty much just got like his shoulder down pretty much because Wemby is that tall. Like Wemby is like too tall for another thing too, like the selfie with the fan. And obviously, when the fan ran onto the court, he immediately got taken away by security. And it turns out that he got arrested, and we don't know yet at the time that I'm recording this if he's gonna be like serving jail time or is gonna be released. We don't know yet. But the guy that apparently posted this may not be confirmed yet because I tried to see if it is the guy or not. But I don't know if you guys remember this, but there was this fan that ran onto the Clippers court back in probably around December or July or something like that. And there was this guy named Bagwork Chris. And he ran onto the court. And he posted that video too. Like of himself, or he pretty much said like, "Hey guys, like look what I'm about to do right now," and then there was a video of him running onto the court. But I don't know. It it may not look like the same guy, but it may look like it at the same time. So honestly, of the Spurs game, so his video is show him going, you know, standing up from his seat and then running on into the court, and then he was like, Wemby, 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 and like that, and then him getting taken away by the security there. So pretty much he got arrested. There was a video of him in handcuffs after the incident happened. And but here's another crazy thing too, that Buffalo Wild Wings, so they offered him free food for the rest of the finals. So pretty much him and another guy, they both got banned for life from all NBA arenas. So they can't go to any. So obviously they can't go to the Spurs arena no more, but they can't go anywhere else in the NBA. So you can't go to Intuit Dome here. They can't go to, like, I don't know, like a Miami Heat game or something, or a Kings game, or a Warriors game, or a Laker game. They can't go anywhere. They can't watch an NBA game in person anymore. So, but yeah, like back what I said, Buffalo Wild Wings, they offered him free food. So they pretty much tweeted out saying like, Internet, please help us find this person. This guy, he could watch the finals at B Dubs on us for the rest of the finals. So that is pretty crazy. Like I don't know why that they would offer someone like this free food. And there is this funny thing too. You know me, I'm a Clipper fan, and my GOAT, Blake Griffin. If you guys seen the Wingstop commercials, you would know that Blake Griffin does Wingstop commercials. And and he said like, "This ain't it. You know, I would never. Hashtag not a paid post." So this is pretty funny, him responding to this situation. But moving on to the rest of the game. So Jalen Brunson, he scored 13 of his 30 points in the fourth quarter to win a tough game one on the road. So this was a really, really good game. And the final score was 105 to 95. So the Knicks, they have extended their win streak to 11. Or, I'm sorry, 12. They have won 12 straight playoff games in a row. Only one of them was a single digit win. So they have won by a margin about 20 points or so. So this is a really big win streak. So that's pretty much 3 rounds in a row, pretty much. But not really. But honestly, you have to win the series. It's best of 7. You have to win 4 games, and they have won 12 in a row. So technically, 3 rounds worth of games, a playoff series. So let's go through some of the box score. So we had Jalen Brunson with 30 points, 12 of 31 from the fields. He did take a lot of shots. The closest person to the most amount of shots to him is Victor Wembanyama with 21 shots. And he was 6 for 21, 26 points. But he shot 13 free throws and only missed one, so he made 12 of them. And Wemby said that he had to do better. And he responded to that situation with a fan saying, like, I never dealt with anything like this before. It was like it was it was just really like a big thing. But yeah, this was a really good game. I really enjoyed this. And Jalen Brunson going through like those 2 near injuries, but it looks like he is good to go for game 2, which is tonight. So I'm gonna be watching too, and hopefully you guys are gonna be watching too. And when we're on here next week, I will be talking about this. So for the rest of the box score here, we have 18 points from Karl-Anthony Towns, 7 for 15. OG Anunoby, 5 for 12, 3 for 6 from 3. So 17 points. So almost half of those points was those 8 points in a row that he scored in the fourth quarter. And then we had Landry Shamet coming off the bench with 13 points. Clipper legend, by the way. 3 for 6 from three. He was one of our sharpshooters when he was a rookie. And then for the Spurs now, like I said, Wemby, he had 26 points. And Julian Champagny, he had he had 5 threes, sharpshooter, 16 points, 5 for 10 from three. So a pretty good shooting. And Dylan Harper, after the first 3 quarters, he was the leading scorer for the team. He had 16 points, and he only yeah he had 16 points, and he only played 3 minutes in the fourth. So he makes videos on TikTok, and you know how on TikTok that you could repost stuff. There was a video that he reposted of an AI video of De'Aaron Fox, pretty much showing his stats, and in the background there was a song of talking about like James Harden and stuff. And coincidentally, De'Aaron Fox, he had the same amount of stats from a stat line from James Harden's playoff performance from this year. So, so both of them, they were 3 for 13 and 0 for 4 from three. So it was pretty much a post like comparing De'Aaron Fox to Harden in the playoffs. And Dylan Harper, like if you go to his profile now, you can't see it on his repost, but he did unrepost it, if that's a word. And and yeah, it was pretty much he pretty much reposted, so he pretty much supported that video, and that is kind of bad if you are Dylan Harper, with the Spurs. It's kind of a bad look. So hopefully that negative energy doesn't go into game two. I would really want to see a good game tonight. So what do you guys think? Do you think that the Knicks are gonna win or the Spurs are gonna win? Like before the series started, I have the Knicks in six. So I can't wait to see what the next games will bring, and we'll talk about it next week. So I'll see you guys next week, guys, and make sure you tune in to next week, and make sure you tune into the next or the previous episodes too if you haven't already. So yeah, I'll see you guys next week.